That's different than a chronic disinterest in your work, a desire to be motivated without ever experiencing it. Just know it's not. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not you that's the problem. The problem is the alignment between you and what you were doing. Welcome to the Willpower Podcast. Let's get right into it. We are back with another solo episode this week. I think I said I was going to have a guest last week. I don't. I have a guest coming on tomorrow, I think. So or Thursday. Thursday of the week that I'm recording this. That'll be on next week, that episode, assuming nothing goes wrong on either end. I am in dire need of a haircut. As you can see, there is a continuous debate in my head about whether or not I should just shave my head because it's so much easier, though I do actually enjoy haircuts quite a bit. So that's all what's going on. But either way, I need a haircut. It looks pretty awful right now. So yeah, we are back solo. I got a lot of energy today, if you can tell. I am in the middle of a work sprint. Found with the week or so leading up to the cruise, I was like fasting and I was just working all the time because I was hungry and bored. Like not bored, but like all I wanted to do is eat. And so work was a good way to do something else. What I found was like, I could just kind of work a bunch. That was one of the first times in my life that I've just like wanted to work. Like it would be like crazy times too. Like I couldn't sleep and it was like midnight and I was just like, fuck it. Let's just like get 2 hours in. I've never had that before on projects. I think the closest thing to that is like in college, having a project due and like waking up at like 4 a.m. to finish it, or I don't know. I literally can remember one time when I was working a full-time job that I was doing like a side project that I was just kind of like playing around with, not business related, just fun. And there's one night at like 9 p.m. I remember going and working on it for a little bit. That's the closest I've ever come. And also that project was not like, it never amounted to anything. It amounted to like a week of interest, a few hours after work. So it's awesome to see that. I know for myself, working at a 2 full-time job for 3 or 4 years, which is crazy to me that it doesn't feel like it was that long, but it was over 4 years over 4 years. I never felt anywhere close to the amount of energy that I have now. And there were times where I felt like there was something wrong with me, that I could not work hard. I could not like motivate myself to work. I really wanted to. I wanted to be someone who was like showing up and like overproducing and all that. And I just couldn't. I could not get myself to want to. And again, I felt bad about that. Felt like there must be something wrong here. There's like, I don't have what other people have. So I just wanted to say, if you are feeling that because you are in a job or you are doing something you don't want to be doing, trust that instinct. Trust that maybe it's not what you should be doing. Now, this is not to say like one day you wake up and you're tired and you don't want to work. Like that's different than a chronic disinterest in your work. A desire to want to work, a desire to be motivated without ever experiencing it. Just know it's not. There's nothing wrong with you. It's not you that's the problem. The problem is the alignment between you and what you were doing. And working on this app, working on Grooves, there have been many weeks where I just want to work on it and I have to pull myself away. I have to like convince myself that I need a break or that I need to take a walk or that, whatever. That was not the case before. That was never the case when I was working. It was always, okay, I should like stop, whatever. I should leave the park and like go home and actually work today. Or yeah, maybe I shouldn't go to jujitsu at lunch. Maybe I should like try and get something done. Complete opposite. So that's just like a reflection on motivation is, yes, there are tricks. There are things we can do to motivate ourselves. There are systems we can set up. There are tracking things like all that. Yes, 100%. But there's also the case where there is just a fundamental misalignment, and that's really hard to break through, really hard to be a good worker, a good employee, a good anything if you don't give a shit about what you're working on and you don't, like, it's not interesting to you. So take that if you are in that position, think about it, consider what other options there are. With all this energy that I have today, I am excited about bringing some new life to this podcast. I feel like the past few weeks have been not phoning it in, but they definitely have come where it's more of a, okay, I need to record a podcast because that's what I do. I do it every week. Every Wednesday, the podcast comes out. So on Tuesday, I'm like, okay, shit, I got to record something. And with that being said, they are not always as energized. There's not always like as much motivation behind it. A lot of it because I'm just focused on other stuff. And then this is something that has to happen. So I want to change that. I want to bring some more life to this podcast, some more energy to it. And with that, I'm going to talk about a conversation that I had with my friend Tim today. So my friend Tim he's come on to the Grooves squad, helping with design and just overall product direction. He is like a UX wizard. Extremely good eye for how things look. He is a painter. He's like done all types of visual art in the past. And so he has a very good eye for what looks good and how to actually make things look good. And so we talked today, and he brought up the idea of this podcast and how this could kind of play into Grooves and the app that I've been building. The way I see this is Grooves is very much in line with who I am as a person. This idea of analytics and tracking and small actions, building up, creating a life that we want, pillar by pillar. So like not even pillar by pillar, block by block, little block by little block. Each of these little actions is just a brick that we lay down every day. And that ends up building into this overall experience of life that we have and this overall feeling of enjoyment or whatever the feeling is. It's very in line. And I'm thinking about this podcast. I'm like, this is also an extension of me. This is, something I am very passionate about. I'm something I think a lot about, something I try and live by, which is this idea of willpower, this idea of making happen what I want and the ability to make happen what I want in my life and in the world around me. And so then I'm thinking, where's the intersection? Like, how does willpower bring in this concept of Grooves, which is building habits, understanding habits. And what I found for this podcast is I want to turn the theme. I want to get clearer on the theme of this podcast. This podcast is about taking big ideas, big philosophies, big conceptions of life and what it means to live. Break those down into small actions. Break those down into like, what does it really mean? What's the actual thing we're doing here? Like, how do I actually get to this point in life? Let's say I'm talking with someone who's made millions of dollars. Okay, what were the things that actually got you there? Not just how did you do it, but like, what are the things that if you follow these steps, you're going to get there, or you're going to give yourself the best chance of getting there, or whatever other kind of success. Maybe we talk with someone who has dealt with PTSD or dealt with depression or something like that. Like, what are the actions? I was listening to a podcast yesterday with Donald Robertson. I hope that's his name. I'm going to look it up quick because I feel like yes, Donald J. Robertson. I really like him as an author. He is honestly one of my favorite authors. He had one book that really broke out, How to Think Like a Roman Emperor. That was great. And then How to Think Like Socrates. I also loved that one. That would be awesome to have him on the podcast. I'll come to that later. Anyways, he was talking with Chris Williamson on Modern Wisdom, the podcast, about certain anxiety treatments that have been like proven to work. And the interesting thing about all the treatments that he had, explained that these have been proven to work in, high percentage of clinical cases or clinical trials. They're all super simple. They're all just like following a very basic action. It's not this like weird conceptual understanding of, you have to get your mind in this place and then you have to go into your inner child and understand where things are now and reparent. It's like none of that stuff that feels so ethereal and like so just uncemented. Like for someone like me, it is so hard to tap into what that actually means. And it's so hard to actually know if I'm doing that thing. And the way that Donald Robertson breaks things down is like, yeah, just fucking do this thing. Like one of the things for anxiety was like, just tell yourself, I'm going to do this. I'm going to worry about this tomorrow. If you're in a worry cycle, or I forget what he calls those, a worry attack, just tell yourself, I'm going to worry about these things tomorrow. That's it. That's the step. There's no other, nothing else that needs to happen. You just tell yourself, I'm going to worry about it at this time. So I want those kinds of insights, those kinds of like, yes, we have this whole idea about anxiety, this whole idea about what we can do about it and what it is. And then here's just this like simple action. So that's going to be a big piece of this podcast. It's going to be, and that's willpower, because willpower in my view is the ability to take big ideas, these big concepts of things I want, and have the ability to bring them into the world. That's like the power part. The will is what I want. The power is the ability to bring it into existence. And so that's what I see someone with high willpower, with a high ability to make happen what they want, to bring their will into existence. A strong will, someone who is going to make something happen, right? So that is going to be the focus of this show. And I will keep it tailored in that direction until, who knows, maybe I change in however long. But I'm really excited about that idea. And I think that fits in well with Grooves. I also think Grooves is going to be the unofficial sponsor, doing finger quotes if you're listening, of this podcast. That really just means that they will, I will be throwing their stuff, or our stuff, shouldn't even speak in the third person. I will be throwing Groove stuff in the description, and I already talk about it plenty because it's a big part of my life, but I'll keep talking about it. It's my thing. It's my app. So keep that in mind. Obviously, I'm going to be biased. I will try to be as honest as possible, but it is something that I truly believe in, and I truly believe has the potential to be very helpful for very many people. So keep that in mind. If I'm talking big, you can shut me out and be like, yeah, this guy's just talking about his thing, and that's why. So again, that's the intersection point I see. This podcast is going to be very much in line with Grooves. It is not the Grooves podcast. It's not any of that. We're going to consider them, Grooves, as a sponsor of this podcast, which means that we shout them out, shout at the app regularly. And yeah, that's that. I already talked about work sprints. I wanted to talk about that for sure, because actually, I don't think I went into that so much. Yeah. So before the cruise, when I did the fast and I was working super hard, what I realized is when I have like a clear deadline and when I can depend on the fact that I will have time to rest. What I mean by that is when I know that there is rest coming, or that there is something coming that is not work, I feel much better about going really hard. So before the cruise, I had about a week, like I mentioned, where I was fasting and I was just working all the time. And I'm not afraid of burning out. I'm just like fucking pedal to the metal, just like try and get this app out. But the cruise, that didn't happen. I didn't get it out. It's still not out. But I found that when I have that kind of deadline and I have a clear end point, like a set in stone, this is when this sprint ends, and there's something that's after the sprint that is not just continuing with the sprint. Yeah, I work like a fucking madman. So I'm going to try to continue to build that in. And that is, again, like built-in rest, built-in moments of not working or periods of not working, interlaced with moments of clear deadlines. So that's going to be coming up. I have my wonderful mother coming to visit me in Austin, and that will be in about a week-ish. And so that's where I'm at right now, is like I'm in a fucking sprint, like, and I'm giving it my all for the next however many days until she gets here, because I know once she gets here, I'm going to take that time off, and that's going to be my rest from work. And I have clear goals. This one, I shouldn't say clear, actually, because I haven't really defined them clearly, but I have an idea of what my goals are. And at the end of this sprint, it's going to be, of course, app released. Hoping that's in the next few days. The second is getting my first set of ads running. Like I mentioned with having Tim on board, he incredible with the visuals. So we have some awesome static ads. And then I put together some videos as well that I think are going to be excellent. So static ads running, the videos running, there's like a whole ad set running with the app released. Have that all going in the background. Maybe I check in on it once a day, but that's my goal. By the time my mom gets here, I want to have those things running and good to go so that I can fully relax and fully be present with my mom and not be dipping in and out of work. And again, it gives me the permission to just fucking like go for it. Just like, I don't know, there's more of a fear of burning out, I think. I know I have that more. And it's nice to not have to, like, where that resistance just goes away. Where it is like when I'm up at midnight and I can't sleep, there's no resistance to just like, fuck it, we'll just do 2 hours. We'll just do an hour here. We'll work some more here. Yeah, it's nice when I know there's some rest coming. There's less resistance to just going for it and like getting those things done. Yeah. By the way, Donald Robertson thing about telling yourself to worry the next day is like crazy. Or just putting aside time to worry. Because I've been dealing with that with finding roommates. That has been just like a pain in the ass for me for the past like 4 months, let's say. And every night, for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sure everyone has experienced this, but the second I'm ready to go to sleep, boom, that's like, okay, now it's time to worry about that. Time to think about how hard it is to find someone and how I'm just like losing out on potential rental income because I haven't found someone to live. And again, it's like clockwork. It's like as soon as I'm ready to go to bed, okay, time to worry. Even if I read at night, it's like, no worry, no worry. I turn the Kindle off, I put the book away, worry time. And last night I was like, all right, I heard my boy Donald tell me, like, put the worry like aside. Tell yourself, I'm going to worry about this tomorrow. I'm going to worry about this in the morning. And it comes back. Like, it's not like it just goes and the worry just leaves your mind. But just every time I noticed it, just gently remind myself, okay, we're going to worry about that tomorrow. And yeah, it probably bothered me like 3 times. It came back and then within a few seconds, reminded myself, okay, we're not worrying about this. And then that was it. And no problems with, thinking about that and ruminating over that while I'm trying to sleep. So that was excellent. That was like very good advice. And again, like he said, it's like super high success rate. Like it just is so simple, but it just kind of works. And it's not crazy. It doesn't require that much, but it's cool. It's a cool technique. Now, on the topic of Donald Robertson, I want to build up the guests. I want to like get real solid guests coming on here. And I'm going to be just like fucking shooting for the moon on these. I know I've seen my own numbers. I know we're not a big show. Nothing like near that. There's no illusions here about what this podcast is. But with that being said, we're going to fucking go for it. I had Robert Glover on. This was like early on in the podcast, episode 20, I think he was, maybe 21. Yeah. Like he is the author of a book that has sold millions of copies. It is like a pillar in the men's work community or realm, or whatever you want to call that. The men's work space. That book is like one of the top 3. And he was just like, yeah, sure. Like I just emailed him. I found his email on his website and he's just like, yeah, sure. Like send me your scheduling link. So that's to say it is possible. Again, I know the numbers. I know where we're at and fuck it. Like we're going for it. We'll see what we can get. So yeah, I plan to get like really cool guests. I don't really give a shit about the numbers right now. With this podcast, I would love to be able to reach more people. That would be cool, but I'm not worried about the money. I'm not worried about making money on this. That is not the point of this app. Definitely. Like I feel like I want to make money with the app. With this, not so much. And part of that is because I know that a podcast, like making money on a podcast is harder. There's more of I feel like there's less money to go around there. And a lot of it pools at the top, which is also the case with apps. But I feel more significant amount of money. And if I'm making a lot of money on the app, I don't really care what the podcast is making. I don't think they will be comparable numbers. So I would appreciate if it did grow. That would be cool to be able to reach more people. I am not really interested in monetizing or worried about monetizing. So that's the mindset going forward. To touch back on the first thing I talked about, the new vision, kind of goes hand in hand. This podcast is really, I want to, again, break big ideas into the actions. break the whole thing that we think about every day and philosophies and whatever not, and talk about how to apply those. And yeah, I think the theme of this one has been or the topic of this one has been that conversation of Donald Robertson. I always want to call him Robert Donaldson. Anyways, yeah, let's talk more about that. There's one part that he talked about, which was social anxiety. So the first anxiety he talks about is phobia. So fears. And he said that it's pretty easy to face common fears, or pretty easy to treat them. It's not easy for the person doing it, but it's an easy method. And that involves very simple exposure therapy. So the person just is shown the thing or exposed to the thing in whatever way. And then typically their body has some kind of physiological response. And then you just kind of sit in that space and wait for the physiological response to die down. And then over time, their body kind of like learns that this is not the thing that we thought it was. It's not something we have to be scared of. Now, then he talks about social anxiety. And that's where I want to like dig into this idea. And he says this one's a lot harder because with social anxiety, it isn't a fear of people, but rather a fear of what people are thinking or where we fit into some kind of group of people, not being fully aware of our place and being afraid of that unknown. And I definitely can relate to this. I'm sure plenty of people can, but just like not quite knowing. And it's not just the not knowing, because I'm sure there are lots of people who don't know exactly. Like you walk into a room of people, you don't really know where you fit, what people think of you, how you're being perceived, all those things. That happens to everybody. No one really knows. But I think the part of social anxiety is then not being okay with that unknown and having some anxiety come up because there's this unknown thing. I don't know how I'm going to be perceived, and that bothers me. And so I'm going to worry about that. And usually in the moment, at least for me, it comes out it's manifested as like a holding back of who I am, holding back of what I want to say, what I want to do, playing it safe, I would say. And I'm sure that other people have different experiences with the ways that this social anxiety, which I feel like this word even itself has weird connotations, but this unknowingness and this fear of the unknown, that can come up in many different ways. A lot of the times, I think what people do is they play it safe. They go into some role that they have, some character that they've played before and that they know, like, quote unquote works. You go into this mode of being that you've done before. Maybe you've done it around these people. And so like, okay, they've accepted this version of me. I'm just going to stick with that. And yeah, for me, that definitely happens. And it's when I'm around people I know, then it's fall into, again, a mode of being that I've been around those people that I know works with those people. And that's tricky when you have like the collision of worlds, when you have like people from different areas of your life and you're like, how do I be both of the people that were accepted by these separate parties? And then of course, with people I don't know, there is different kind of social anxiety, which I honestly feel less of, but that's not to say I don't experience any of it. But I think for me, I don't know. I would have to think more on where that comes up with people I don't know. I guess there's more like, there's definitely still an awareness of like, or a curiousness about how I'm being perceived and anxiety around that, because I'm aware that this is a first impression. Like this, whatever I come off as is what this person is going to ultimately judge me as. So that's interesting. But anyways, either with people or without, this is the thing that happens. This is the thing that happens to me. I'm sure it happens to other people in other ways, but that brings us to what I want to talk about, which is like, where do I go with this? What do I do about this thing that I'm experiencing? One of the big takeaways I got from this podcast was that anxiety isn't something to be avoided. That's one of the biggest things he talks about. It's like avoidance might actually be the problem, and anxiety is just a symptom of this problem. That's like a brain explosion. But regardless, anxiety isn't something to be avoided. So it's something to be experienced. It's just, okay, this is happening to me right now. Same with this unknown concept. I think that's where the solution to this problem is. It's not in like figuring out exactly who I am or figuring out exactly where I fit in with everybody. It's learning to be okay in this unknown, like where I don't know where I fit or I don't know how people see me, or if people judge me a certain way. It's learning to just be okay, practice that. And I think exposure might be one of the ways to go about this. I'm still working through like a practical way to like expose myself to these kinds of things. And I think it genuinely is going to be like just more social exposure, more time like with friends or with odd collections of friends, like, picking different people and setting things up where I am just around people a lot, even people who make me uncomfortable. That's definitely the case too. I'm like, I've realized there are certain people where I'm like, I don't quite like I feel weird being around this person. I don't quite enjoy it. Maybe there's something to learn there. Maybe there's something to like, again, rather than being like, okay, I'm going to avoid this person. Maybe there is something to be said about being like, okay, this might be my reaction. This might be just something I've learned about this, or again, this unknown thing. Like I'm hearing what they're saying and I'm letting it determine where I stand and letting it like cut through this unknown and try and solidify my position. And I don't like where that ends up. So yeah, solution to social anxiety is deliberate exposure to different social situations. So yeah, I'm going to play around with that. And I think the deliberate part is important in that there's like some thought going into it. Like there's an intention of like, okay, I'm going to just accept how things are. I'm going to be aware of when I feel uncomfortable, when I feel like I have to go into some character or like, play into some role. I'm going to just be aware of that. Just accept that it's there. Not try to run away from it. Don't try to avoid the feelings. Don't try to avoid the impulse, but just let it be. And yeah, so the way I work, I want to like make a step-by-step plan. Like every week I do this, this, and this. So I might do that, honestly. And yeah, I don't know that there are that many other big areas of anxiety for me. And I don't want to talk like social anxiety is some like debilitating thing in my life. Like I love going out and seeing people. Don't get me wrong. Very much enjoy social stuff, but I also notice that there are certain cases where I feel the anxiety. I feel the discomfort or the lack of knowingness and the fear associated with that. So, and not just that I feel it, it affects me. It changes the way I act. It changes my behavior. So I think that's probably the best indicator. Other anxieties, I'm sure there are, of course, other ones, but there have not been many that I've noticed come up recently. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. No arachnophobia or any other weird fears that I could just do exposure therapy, nail right on the spot. Which again, like when you hear that, it sounds so easy. It's like, oh yeah, just like sit and like let a spider crawl on you. If you don't have arachnophobia, like that sounds fine. Just like, okay, cool. But I'm sure if you do have a genuine fear, it's anything but easy. And going through that process is going to be, and like the physiological response, as I called it, is like, oh, the feeling of crazy anxiety and heart beating and fear and all of that. It's not just like, oh, I'm having a physiological response. It's actually like there's a strong emotion tied to it from the first person experience. All right. I think we will call it there. I am going to continue on my work grind, get this app going. Yeah. Keep an eye out for, maybe the link will be in the description. Probably not, honestly, but keep an eye out for it. Maybe I'm sure by next week I will have Grooves available. And so I'll make sure that it's in the description everywhere that this podcast is posted. And yeah, man, that'll be awesome. That'll be so cool to have something to show for this kind of second wind of Grooves. Because just to fill everyone in, Grooves is out there. There's already Grooves Daily Routine Tracker, but we've completely revamped that app, and it has the same purpose, but it's so much more built out, and so much, the experience is incredible there on the new app. And so it's actually going to be an entire new app in the App Store, Grooves Engineered Wellness. It will be out in a matter of days. Keep an eye out for that. And yeah, go into this week thinking about what are the big things in your life? Like, what are the big ideas? What are the big philosophies, the way you want to live? And what are the little actions that you can take? And yeah, for mine this week, I don't want to be hampered by social anxiety. I don't want to feel like I have to be a certain way around certain people, because I know that works. I want to be able to, feel just normal around everybody. So the small actions for me are going to be setting up times to be around different groups of people and mix and match and do all that. So that's what I got. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, big things coming on this podcast, big things coming on the Grooves app. That's what we got. Bye, everybody.